In the news this week, an agriculture group warns of international bullying as Australia-China trade relations suffer.
No Christmas break for WA's borders as the barrier is set to stay until health advice says otherwise.
Overflow crisis. WA's toughest rehab is willing to break council rules to help drug addicts kick the habit.
And on Western Perspective, an exclusive interview with PGA WA President Tony Seabrook on trade relations.
This is the Evening News with Ivan Leung and Sarah Smith.
Good evening. The Pastoralist and Grazers Association WA has warned the agriculture sector won't be intimidated into jobs and economic losses as Australia-China trade relations degrade. As tensions rise between the two nations, they say industry jobs and the wider economy are at risk. Nelson Liu with this exclusive report.
Standing their ground to protect Australia's economy.
It doesn't stand Australia in good stead to roll over here.
Australia's trade relations with China are deteriorating, and WA's Pastoralists and Graziers Association warns of dire consequences, beginning with the agriculture sector.
They've taken offence at something our Prime Minister had to say about an inquiry into the COVID virus and where it started from. Entirely different. We perceive this to be a spurious way of actually attacking Australia.
The PGA alleged bullying from the superpower threatens farming jobs, but there's a bigger cost.
This is an economic punishment that will be borne by the broader community.
They say being self-sufficient is key, but Australia needs to call China out. The McGowan government has called on the federal government to repair its relationship with China while criticising the PGA.
Quite frankly, I don't think the PGA attitude just helps. I don't think, jumping up and down and saying we're going to be tough, but not, it doesn't mean anything. It's sort of like it's a meaningless statement. What we're trying to do is, I think the more practical thing is to keep calm and keep as many as possible of our good relations with China going.
The PGA says the situation will escalate if a resolution isn't found. Nelson Liu, WAMN News.
WA Premier Mark McGowan announced this week that WA will not be signing up to open the state's border by Christmas.
The Premier has hit out at media commentators calling for the border to come down. He says East Coast commentators don't have a clue what's going on in WA's economy and job market. Meanwhile, WA footy fans have had a letdown this week with the AFL's Chief Executive Gil McLachlan announcing that the grand final would be held in Brisbane. Despite WA's excellent COVID-19 track record, the hard barrier and quarantine restrictions meant that Optus Stadium was a no-go for the big game. Australia's toughest rehabilitation centre says they'd rather break local government regulations than turn away someone who wants to change their life for the better. Peter Lyndon James's Shalom House rehab program is bursting at the seams, with over 140 participants, and he says he'll do whatever it takes to help people. Taylor Hannah reports.
Shalom House has developed a reputation for turning around lives. Participants spend on average 2 years in the program, learning skills to deal with trauma, addiction, and family dysfunction. Graduates leave debt-free with full-time employment. Peter's youngest participant is just 13 years old, but Shalom has run out of space.
I literally have 12 beds in the carport. I have beds in all my corridors. On the Park Street property, we have 3 beds in every lounge room. So we're over capacity, even with the women's program.
Though they take donations, as a self-funded program, Shalom House cannot afford the $400 million it would cost to relocate to a single, larger facility.
Peter says he's been left with no choice but to rent another house for the program without the necessary council approvals.
If all your house is full, if all your overflow is full, and you have someone coming to your door and they knock on your door and they say, Peter, please help me. I'll do whatever it takes to change my life. I'll do whatever it takes. A heroin addict or a speed addict, they're close to the point. Do you turn them away or take them in?
Despite the program's struggle to keep up with demand, Peter won't stop fighting. Taylor Hannah, WAMN News.
As Surf Life-saving WA helicopters return to the skies, it's predicted COVID will see an increase in WA beachgoers. When COVID-19 restrictions were first introduced back in March, people flocked to the beaches as a way to maintain their physical and mental health. Surf Life Saving WA President says the helicopter service is essential to provide patrol coverage for many popular beaches, including many locations in the southwest. Over 21,000 volunteer lifesavers and professional lifeguards keep beachgoers safe from the ground, while the Westpac life-saving rescue helicopters play a critical role in the air.
We will be very, very busy, but we're well equipped. We've got fantastic support, particularly from the state government. So not just the helicopters, but they also help us with IRBs, they help us with the ATVs that we use on the beach, and that's funding that comes through Department of Fire and Emergency Services.
A New South Wales man has been extradited to Perth over attempted trafficking of large quantities of drugs into WA 2 years ago. The 55-year-old was escorted to WA on Wednesday after nearly 2 kilograms of methamphetamine and 700 grams of heroin were seized in a vehicle stop in 2018. The man faces 2 counts of possession of drugs with intent to sell or supply and appeared in the Perth Magistrates Court this week.
The state government says jobs in agriculture, tourism and hospitality are up for grabs in its Work and Wander Out Yonder campaign, promising an unforgettable backpacking experience. Meanwhile, jobs are set to be boosted when the government's Container for Change scheme kicks off next month. More than 500 local jobs are expected to be created by local businesses, including Scouts WA, which will support the community.
We've got 4 depots, Coburn Central, Wangara, Malaga and Kenwick, and as the Minister has already said, we're looking to employ long-term unemployed, people with disabilities, and we're also working with several Indigenous organisations. So we think this is going to be a fantastic opportunity, and it's about Scouts giving back to the community.
The United States is gearing up for its first televised presidential debate between Donald Trump and Joe Biden. The debates are set for the 29th of September and the 15th and 22nd of October. Meanwhile, vice presidential candidates Mike Pence and Kamala Harris will have one television debate with a date yet to be announced. The debates are crucial to the race, attracting the highest television audiences in America. New Zealand has recorded its first COVID-19 death since May. It's understood the victim is a man in his 50s, the youngest Kiwi to lose their life to the virus so far. Restrictions are still in place in New Zealand, with face masks mandatory on public transport and social gatherings in Auckland limited to 10 people and funerals to 50. The restrictions are set to stay until mid-September. The Fremantle Long Table Dinner is back for another year, with tickets for the popular fundraiser going on sale at 9 a.m. tomorrow. In its 5th year, the event is moving from High Street to King Square, another typically Fremantle setting in the hopes of creating a different experience. National Hotel owner Carl Bullis started the event in 2016 and is pleased that they're able to continue this year despite COVID-19 restrictions.
It's grown bigger and bigger every year and more popular. Last year we sold out in 4 hours, but this year we're halving the number of tickets, trying to make it a bit more manageable with COVID and everything, and we're only doing 600 this year, so we anticipate a very quick sell of tickets, and the tickets actually go on sale on Monday morning at 9.
Organised by the National Hotel and St Patrick's Community Support Centre, funds raised will go towards St Patrick's and the homeless over the festive period. A 3-course dinner with some of the state's best wines and local beers will be accompanied by entertainment and music performances, with tickets going on sale tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. And that's our weekly news and current affairs. We have the latest news on the website and social media pages.
We'll see you next weekend and have a nice evening.
Wish you good health and take care.